Musashi Industrial and Starflight Concern, otherwise known as MISC. Interesting manufacturer. Let's get started. Let's start with the Hull series because this is really kind of their big purpose-built line of ships. Where RSI has the Orion, which is just the king of mining, and Aegis has the Reclaimer, which is of course the king of salvage. This is the king of cargo hauling. The Hull series, specifically the Hulls D and E, are the real big boys, but these really are just the best purpose-built cargo haulers in the universe. However, they do run into something of an issue currently. And that is that a lot of you might remember that back when the Reclaimer was getting built out and finally being brought into the game as flight ready, there was the Hull C, which was kind of the middle of the road Hull series ship that was going to, I guess, be a proof of concept, and it was going to give them the framework to do the rest of the Hull series, allow them to iron out everything. And this ship got very, very far into production, almost to the point of being flight ready, and then it mysteriously disappeared. The reasoning behind that was, docking it with any real space station, allowing it to haul and transfer cargo, it wasn't going to work. Because as you know, when you travel to many places to purchase cargo, you have to land there. And when a hull is fully loaded, it doesn't really work that way. And I guess that they were maybe afraid that even in places like Olisar or Levski, where you can possibly pick up some stuff and transfer between the two, and maybe you can just hover in space and do the transfer there, it was probably going to crowd those areas up unnecessarily, and you can't really land this thing on a planet, as you can see, loaded up with cargo and then take off again. It doesn't really work that way, and I think that, they kind of broke it down to docking and things like that, but I think that this was a great idea. It was a fantastic idea, but it's obviously they're going to have to look at different ways of making that work. Now, of course, in the screenshot you're seeing the cargo kind of navigate itself onto the ship. And so I think that there's possibilities with that. If you can get a whole series to kind of hover over a landing site and then someone can go in, or you can remotely access that, resource purchasing console or commodity purchasing console, and just say, I want to buy X amount of units of this, and then it all starts transferring up out of like a little cargo shed or whatever onto your ship like that, then I can totally see how that's going to work. But I think that obviously this is a system that required a lot more development than they really thought was going to be necessary, and so it's a ship that I think there's a lot of people out there who want to see it in game, and obviously those who want to do the cargo running thing, especially on a big industrial scale, are going to be very interested in seeing that work, but the facilities just aren't in game to really make that work at this time. So this is a ship and a series of ships, at least the Hull C, that are waiting for things in game to make them viable. So we're probably going to have to go a little ways further down the road before CIG returns to the Hull C and finishes off the Hull series. There's a lot of potential here. There's a lot of great potential in the Hull series. It's just their timing is not really great right now. There's a lot of things that need to go into the game, and building a system that really only services one type of ship is probably not high on their priority list right now. The Freelancer. Now, a lot of people know that I am not particular to the appearance of this ship. I have never really been a fan of this design at all. But that aside, it is still an absolutely solid ship, if not an excellent ship. If you're looking for a ship that isn't overly focused in any one area, that can still give you a little bit of combat, that can still give you a little bit of cargo running, a little bit of mission running. The Freelancer line of ships is an excellent line of ships, and they are a bargain at the price. I mean, it hauls a lot more cargo than the Cutlass does, and it only costs $10 more in the base version. There's a lot of really solid potential. Money spent on a Freelancer is not money misspent. If you're looking for something that's really going to jumpstart you in the Star Citizen universe and you want to do a little cargo hauling, maybe you want to lean a little bit more towards the legal end of things, the Freelancer is not a bad choice. It's in fact a very solid choice for a ship. I'm not particular to the looks or the appearance of that, but that is, irrelevant when you're talking about what is going to give you the best, kind of head start when you get into the universe. And the Freelancer is a solid line of ships. And the best part is as of 3.4, every single version of the Freelancer is going to be flyable. Every single one. They are finally all delivered. It's here. You got it, and you're ready to go. Just got to wait for the game to catch up. The Prospector. Now, the Prospector is pretty interesting because unlike the Freelancer, which has a very restrictive cockpit view, the Prospector is the exact opposite. It has probably one of the best cockpit views in the game for any ship. It is absolutely fantastic. And it is built around the idea of you're operating the mining laser, so you need to be able to see what you're doing, unlike when you're flying a ship. Then it doesn't matter if you can see or not, obviously. Right? But anyways, I've heard a lot of good things about the Prospector. I've only ever flown it 1 or 2 times. I've borrowed other people's and just kind of bummed around in it. I've never really gone out and, really sought minerals and really tried to learn the whole mining, area. That's not something that I'm particular to, but I have heard some interesting claims in local chat. Some people saying, well, I'm making 70K per run and all this. And, you have to take that with a grain of salt. People tend to BS a little bit in local and brag up things that may not actually be real, but I suppose it's possible. If you know where to mine and you know what to mine, I don't know. As a money earner, as something that allows you to kind of go out, it's a one-man ship, so you can go out, you can do things on your own schedule, you can make money on your own terms when you choose to do it. It's an excellent ship, and it's a great way to, if you want to do that type of thing, then right now, it's kind of the only game in town. There's possibility that there may be mining with hand tools, and so other ships might be able to get into the game. But this is just a damn fine ship. Why not just get a Prospector if you're going down that road? And as far as I know, there aren't any disappointed owners of the Prospector who are going into mining. I can't recall ever seeing any real complaints other than there's a bug here, there's a bug there about this ship. It seems to have been embraced by the community very well, especially by the people who pursue that career. So I have to say that if you're going to be a miner, don't worry about going out and getting hand tools to do some mining. Just get a Prospector. The Razor. I'm particular to the theory that some people have put forward that this was originally designed as an Origin ship, and then someone woke up one day and said, yeah, all the top racers can't be Origin. And they said, okay, roll the dice, MISC. Not all MISC ships can be ugly. I have not flown it. Or if I have flown it, it never left that much of an impression on me. I've always been particular to the appearance of the M50. I will leave this up to the people who know racers a lot better than I do to kind of form an opinion on the ship and share their opinion on it, perhaps in the comments below. But racing, as I see it, is something that needs a revamp before it really becomes interesting as a career. Right now, it's kind of a Mario Kart-esque thing, and I would like it to see I would like to see it become much more reflective of racing in the real world. So as a career, I would like to see it go to an interesting place before I would invest in a ship like this. But if you're dead set on it, I don't see how you could go wrong with this ship. I really don't. If this is your thing, then it doesn't look like a ship that is going to come up short in any way. The Reliant. Now, the Reliant, I think, is a ship that should be applauded because it is both bold in its styling. It is something different. It is something unusual looking. And frankly, that's something that we don't get enough of in Star Citizen, I think. And it also has this strange idea that the pilot should be able to see what they're doing to such a crazy degree. I mean, where are all the knobs and switches that let me know that I'm in a spaceship? I mean, never mind the fact that I can see space outside the window. I really like the Reliant. As a starter ship, I really do like it. I mean, you got the cargo variant, you got a combat variant, you got a news van variant, and you got a science and exploration variant. As far as I remember, I've kind of spent my way past this, but certainly if I were looking to get started in the Star Citizen universe and I was looking to do it on a budget, I don't think that this is money mislaid. I don't think that this is a poor choice. It has a very narrow forward profile, so it doesn't really suffer from the issues that the Xeon Scout does. I like it. I like it as a ship. Is it something that I would immediately get? No, because I'm kind of beyond that. But certainly if I was starting out, it would be a very strong contender. A very strong contender. The Starfarer, both the regular Starfarer and the Starfarer G. Now, this is a cargo ship, also a bit of a refueling ship, but unlike the Vulcan, this is a ship that can process fuel, so it can, take in, let's say, the hydrogen or whatever from a gas giant, and then process that into fuel, which it can then sell on the market, or it can be used to directly refuel other ships. Now, in the early days of Star Citizen, fuel was a huge concern. How far does it go? What kind of fuel tanks does it have? I mean, one of the big selling points of the Vanguard was the fact that it was the long-range fighter, and people didn't know what long-range really meant and had no perception of how that would be implemented in the game. And so a ship like this, at the time, seemed like a very safe choice for a moneymaker. As a cargo ship, it is unremarkable. In fact, the Caterpillar is better. It's faster, and it carries more. But the Caterpillar does not have those refueling facilities, and that was always something that the Starfarer could fall back on. Now, recently CIG has made a move more towards convenience in regards to fuel costs. I think that sanity prevailed in that instance, and they brought things down to a much more reasonable level. Does that injure the Starfarer in any way? I don't think so. I don't. I think that the ability to process and sell fuel, even if you're only doing it at big landing hubs, is still not going to be an easy way to make yourself poor quickly. There's still going to be money to be made. And with the Gemini, if you are part of a large fleet of capital ships, you're definitely going to find usage there. You're definitely going to find a need to keep those ships topped off on fuel while they're off on long combat patrols or missions or whatever. There's definitely going to be a need there, because even though the current fuel requirements may seem a little bit too free, you can see, even operating a ship like the Hammerhead, how it wouldn't take too long to really run yourself down on fuel, and having to always go back to a landing site may not be the most convenient thing for you, so having a Starfarer around isn't a bad idea.
Thank you for watching. So if you want to keep up with the latest and greatest in Star Citizen and Squadron 42's development, please follow us on our social media channels. See you soon.